Extravagant Fragrances back here again. So today is just pretty much a Q&A. Got some questions from a subscriber that I'm going to go down and then I'm going to go into why you should consider starting a fragrance business today. And so the first question the viewer asked here was, did you make your own oils? They're asking about how to get started in a fragrance business. Comment section says here, it says, I don't have a lot of money to invest in a full-blown brand for my body oils I'm making, and I don't want to hold back because of the maintenance it may have to take to run it. How much money do you recommend someone spends in order to make money? I also want to get the super mini bottles to give out samples. So I basically told them that, I won't tell them what to spend because everybody's budget is different. When I first started this business, I started with 144 of the 1/3 roll-ons. That's the most popular size among all the bottles is the 1/3 roll-ons. And I started for less than $300, right? So that is also available on the website, the wholesale kits for the 1/3 roll-ons. And the reason why it's the most popular is because for the 1/3 roll-on kit, you get a lot of varieties, right? It's not a lot of money to come in, but you can pick multiple fragrances. So like the kit that I offer is like 144 roll-ons. The 1/3 roll-ons, you get to pick like 28 different fragrances, 10 men, 10 women, 8 unisex, like that. Mix or match, however many you want, right? As far as 28 selections goes. And then they asked if I make my own oils. And this is one of the biggest misconceptions with the personal fragrance business is that a lot of people tend to think you make your own oils. Some people do. It depends on, when you say make your own oils, it depends on what you mean, because there are multiple different ways someone could say they make their own oils, right? Technically, if I blend a fragrance and I give it a new name, I could say, yeah, I make my own oils, right? If someone gets a fragrance, right, that there is no carrier oil in it, for example, right? And now they have to put their own carrier oil in it just to make it skin safe. They can technically say, yes, I make my own oil. I make my own fragrance, right? Because that is part of the manufacturing process. I think there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to manufacturing. Now, we could take it back even further. If you're talking about a full-scale manufacturing where, let's say the manufacturer, they're buying the absolutes from a foreign country, they're getting it in bulk, they have big shipments coming in, and then they've got machines, right? Now, I don't know if these machines are if they still cost the same amount. I'm pretty sure they had to have gone up, and technology has become more advanced to where now the machines are more expensive due to inflation and whatnot. But the last I checked, one of those machines, I was told at the time, cost about something like $250,000, right, just for that machine. So that's another whole level of manufacturing, right? So, like I said, going back to, do I make my own oils? No, I don't make the oils in the sense that I'm a full scale manufacturer where it's like, I've got machines and technology and all this stuff to do duplicates, right? Now there are fragrances that I do blend. There are fragrances as of recent that I had to add my own carrier oil to it to make it skin safe, right? So in the manufacturing sense, yes. In that sense, yes. I guess you could say I do make my own oil or produce my own product in that sense, but not on a full scale manufacturer where there's like warehousing and big duplication machines and all of this stuff. No. So let's talk about your first sale. They asked me what was my first sale, And looking back, I think honestly, I didn't make my first sale until until I actually learned about sales, right? I got into this business in the last recession because of the last recession. And that's when I always tell this story, which is when I was back in California. And I got into the supplement business actually before I got into the body oil business, the fragrance business. And as I was learning how to get into the stores with the supplement business, my business partner at the time, he was actually teaching me a lot about sales. And he was this guy that took a supplement company out of the mall and got him into all of the Walmarts at that time. And so basically, he was teaching me everything about that I knew about sales. Like, I considered this guy at that time, he was kind of like a business uncle for me. And one of the things that I learned from him was different sales tactics, and also at that time, everything was kind of like happening all at once. At that time, I also I began to lose clients. Right? Actually, I think I started losing clients when I started to get into the supplement sales, and then at that time, I also had a personal development coach, right? And so it was that personal development coach that turned me on to sales courses, and he introduced me to a lot of different sales professionals who used to give classes on sales and stuff like that. So I started listening to a lot of sales audiobooks and whatnot, and so that really helped me on my sales calls when I would go out and I would do the like the dietary supplements. I used to go from store to store, hitting up all the mom and pop shops and stuff like that. And so basically, like those sales, I actually transferred over into the fragrance side of things. And when I made that transition over to the fragrance, it was so much easier. It didn't really take a whole lot of education, right? It was just mostly just put the fragrance in front of the customer, let them smell it, and it was just a way easier close, right? As opposed to the supplements. Supplements took like a lot more education, letting the customers try it out, test try it, putting it out to their other customers, and getting feedback like that, right? And then on top of that, with the supplements, it was just like more limited because there were only so many supplement stores in the whole city, right? And it was just a very, very cutthroat industry, to me at least. And so, but my first sale is, I want to say it was with my personal training client. She was very much into her looks and, very much like into perfumes and purses and bags and all of this stuff. And so I put on her I think she ordered a coach from me, right? And then like it just kind of started to pick up, through word of mouth. And then eventually I'm like, okay, now I need to start wholesaling this stuff like I've been wholesaling the dietary supplements. But I said, because there's a lot more stores that I could get into with the fragrance. There's unlimited customer base, in my opinion, that can come in either at retail or at wholesale, and the profit margins were actually higher. The profit margins for the fragrance was actually a lot higher than the dietary supplements. And so I want to say was that customer, I only saw her one roll-on. For a long time, I didn't sell anything. I just had these fragrances. They were just sitting. A couple people saw them. They smelled them. And then I was wearing the fragrance out in public. And just complete strangers were complimenting me on the fragrance. One of the fragrances was the Lamel by John Paul. I was wearing that body oil. And there was somebody who hit me up in public, and this guy ordered like a quarter pound for like 60 something bucks, right? And then I started getting into like car problems with my car at the time, right? It was this little Ford Focus. You know what they say about Fords? Ford stands for like fix or repair daily, and that's exactly the kind of problems I had with that car. Nevertheless, I was having like these emergency car issues come up where I had to get the car fixed like ASAP, and so I would be kind of like under pressure to go make sales because we were in a recession at that time, right? And so I had in my phone book some of my customers who I was already selling supplements to. So I'm like, okay, these guys are already about their bodies. They're already about looking good, smelling good, dressing nice, keeping this image up, right? And so I began to send text messages out, running specials on the fragrances, putting out my fragrance list through regular text messages. Now there are different tactics, different ways. Like you can actually sign up to email blast marketing, just like you sign up to. I'm sorry, not email blast. There's email blast, just like text message marketing, just like there's email blast marketing, right? And so that's what I began to do. And I used to run specials like once a week, once every other week. And then I would update. I would send out an update if I got new fragrances. And then it was just like I had a lot of friends at the gym also. So all my closest homeboys, like they would like refer people to me, like they would refer their friends and their friends' friends. And plus I was a personal trainer at the gym, so people already knew me. The people were already familiar with my face. And so and then another interesting thing that happened is when people started to lose their homes, I had friends that were losing. I mean, I'm talking going into bankruptcy, losing massive amounts of properties, selling off their real estate, going bankrupt, and they had to make money somehow. And so I had those guys. Once those guys were being squeezed out of real estate, they began to sell the fragrances, and so it wasn't long before I wasn't the only one with like a gym bag that had fragrances in them. So it wasn't that I was just looking for like retail stores. I was looking for like mobile peddlers. Everyone was a prospect to me. How you sold it, what bag you carried it in, it did not matter to me. And then I was boom, I hit the online thing. So everyone, when you get it started in this business, everyone is a prospect, right? So the next question they asked is, when did I start consistent sales? I would say consistent sales started to come once I got online. Once I got into an established storefront that was in an established, like a busy area with lots of foot traffic. Those were also very consistent, where I got the consistent sales. If you're going to be wholesaling, you may want to consider getting into busy storefronts, where there's a lot of traffic, meaning car traffic, foot traffic, and you might see that those are some of the best prospects, in my opinion. And so they asked, oh, I'm sorry, I already answered their question. They asked, did the phone number or email blast work? Email blasts work. I highly recommend the email blasts. I'm not sponsored in anything by MailChimp or anything, but the last I checked, and maybe things have changed, I don't know. But if you are trying to get into an email blast type of setup and you're just getting started in business, I would check out MailChimp, because MailChimp kind of gets you in there in the door. I think your first couple email customers is like free or something like that. And then like once you get past a certain amount, then they begin to charge you, right? So I think that's a really good opportunity as far as building an email list. And definitely the text message blasting really works. One thing that I've learned about email blasts is that you may put out an email, like for example, I put out emails, right? And I actually lose subscribers almost every time I put out an email, right? It's really weird. It's like I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that, because the ones that I really want to keep on the email list are the ones that I know are loyal, they're consistent, they see the emails and they understand that, well, I'm just updating everybody with the fragrance list. And so you're going to get people, you're going to lose people off the email list. And that's just kind of how it works. And then I also manually put people on that email list. And those are people that I've had interactions with, I've had conversations with. Those are the kind of people that I will put on the email blast, right? So that's something else you can consider. But if you haven't started an email list now, I wouldn't even say wait and go with MailChimp or some kind of email blast. Like start like a written email list, right? Put a name, write it down, and start compiling your customers. People that have already bought from you, like you should be on the phone with them right now saying, hey, what's your email? I want to, can I have your email so I can keep you updated on my newest fragrances, right? They say that data is going to be like the new oil, the new petroleum, right? Data is like gold, right? And you have corporations out there that are collecting your data and they're using them to market to you, right? So that's why if I sit down and I watch, a Netflix show or something like that, and all of a sudden I'm getting YouTube shorts or YouTube videos, promoting what it is I was watching. You get what I'm saying? So, why not you? Why not the small brick and mortar mom and pop shop, right? Why aren't you collecting free data that corporations are paying top dollar for, right? I mean, you're zoning straight in on warm, hot leads of people that you already know, that you already sold to, right? And so it's worth your time, especially down the long haul, to have and build that email list. Okay. I always stress that. And like I said, I'll put out an email list, for example, and then sometimes people won't respond right away, but then like the next month, right? Maybe they didn't have any money at the time. Maybe like the next month they'll respond, or even 2 months later, they'll be responding saying, hey, I got that email you sent me back. And I'm like, that email was like 2 months ago, right? They're like, yeah, the one with the picture and this and that fragrance, right? And so it always kind of reconfirms what I always knew, which was it's good to stay on top of your customers' minds with an email blast or a text message blast. And right now, I haven't gotten into the text message blasting, but I want to. And so right now, I'm actually compiling certain customers to be able to do text message blasts. Okay. Now, they also asked, how much have I made in 1 month? It really depends. I will say, I won't give an exact number, but I've made thousands in a month. There's some months that were extremely slow, very slow. But here's the thing you have to understand with sales. That's how it is. You have to look at sales like for example, let's say you make, I don't know, 2 to let's say 5,000 in a month, right? And then like the next month, maybe you only make like $1,000. Like that can happen, right? You need to know and kind of write this down, know what does your average month look like, right? And kind of know what the average is, right? So that way, by the end of the year, you already know okay, this is what I made every month, right? So that's just how sales are. Sales is not like a fixed wage where you go to a place where there's a salary and all this stuff. That's not how it works, There's sometimes during a month where you might have a slow month, right? Like for me, actually, I want to say around the New Year's and Christmas time is actually a really slow month for me. Those are very slow times for me, right? And you wouldn't think, but I think what it is people are tapped out. People have been swiping them credit cards left and right, and so after the holiday, there's they don't have any money left, right? And so as far as how much can you make, it really all depends on you. I've had subscribers who have made life-changing money, who are, I've had some subscribers who, they've gotten out of the penitentiary and they saw the fragrance business as a way out of going back to what they were doing before they went into the penitentiary, right? And so it all depends on who's your customers, building up that email list. Okay, you should never let that email slide by, or a way to reach out. What kind of foot traffic are you getting? Or is the area a busy area? Are you out in the middle of the sticks? Like, those are the kind of things you need to take into consideration, right? Now, one thing that I have learned is that if you are in a high foot traffic area, the less paid advertising you need to do. The less foot traffic you have, the more paid advertising you need to do. And that's just kind of how that's the trade-off there, right? So I think that, here's another question they ask is, how much have you, is this viable if I made my own oils? And that goes back to like my first question is, I'm not in a facility putting fragrances through a machine, testing and doing all that kinds of stuff. That I think, don't mark my word on this, I think the technology is very similar to kind of like if you go to like Lowe's or Home Depot. It's like when they put a color through the matcher, they kind of match it up, and then they'll kind of substitute, certain colors to kind of make it look almost exactly like the color you brought in, which I believe it's similar to like a technology called gas chromatography. I believe that's kind of how it works. But yeah, I don't have any equipment like that. I will buy through distributors, wholesale. I'll buy in bulk, right? And then I'll turn around, rebottle, resell. Some stuff I blend myself. Some stuff I sell as is. And so you don't really want to be getting into like, unless that's your thing, going in and, it's just, this is the best way to do it. If you are just new to the fragrance business, the personal fragrance business, dealing with the oils, I would say you want to just come in, buy in bulk and resell, right? And then move into wholesale if you can. If you have the space, or if that's even what you want to do. I know some guys that they only want to deal with retail, right? So I think that pretty much answers all the questions here. So, but moving forward here, if you're on the sideline thinking about starting a fragrance business, I highly recommend it. Right now, you really want to be thinking about getting into things regarding commodities, because as you can see, the price of things continue to go up. I look back at some of my old invoices for things I bought in the past, and I'm like, wow, that no longer costs what I paid for it before. And I'm talking cheap things from like China, right? I look at my old tea strainers that I bought online. I'm like, that thing went up like a whole buck, and I bought it. Let's say I bought it for like $2.99 at the time, right? And it went up a whole dollar or so, right? Or some other things that I've looked at are like double. And so people are always wondering why seems like everything's going up. That's because things are going up, and so you don't want to be on the wrong side of that. If you want to even out the playing field, you have to be, you should consider being into commodities of some sort, where you're buying, selling, trading. Rule of thumb is buy low, sell high. Always buy low, sell high. Unless it's like something where it's, you have, you're doing lots of volume. You know what I mean? If you're doing lots of volume, then it's okay. It's okay if the profit margins aren't really big. But I personally like this business because the profit margins are really nice, So hope you like this video. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll talk to you soon, everybody. Take care.